Get ready for the next battle.
Now, despite all the complex moves and crazy combos available, Tekken 6 is a very welcoming fighting game. If you're an expert, this game has the most ever characters in Tekken history, as well as a new way to do damaging combos. For newcomers, the game is still easy to get into and has a pretty extensive beat-em-up campaign as an added extra. So whether you're a complete stranger to the series, an occasional masher, or someone who can pull off 10-hit combos without dislocating a finger, the superb Tekken 6 has plenty to offer you. That abundance begins with Tekken 6's roster, a beefy lineup that features 41 fighters. Even series veterans may find Tekken 6's jam-packed character selection screen a little overwhelming because it's initially tough to identify characters from their small portraits alone. But once you've found your favorites, experienced Tekken players will see that the tweaks and changes made to the movesets of returning characters are, for the most part, minor. It's not all veterans, of course. There are 6 new characters making their home console debut in Tekken 6. These include the tubby butt-quick Bob, the androgynous Leo, Spanish brawler Miguel, creepy chick Zafina, robot girl Alyssa, and possibly yet another Mishima, Lars. Zafina feels the most unique thanks to her distinctive-looking moves that incorporate stance-based attacks, such as the off-putting Tarantula, which sees her get down on all fours to creep low along the ground. Alyssa is just sheer fun to play, given her frankly bizarre move list, which includes using her own head as an explosive and a whole series of attacks based on her chainsaw appendages. Now, a fembot with chainsaws for hands may seem overpowered in a fighting game, but Tekken 6 manages the tough task of presenting a well-balanced brawler despite the abundance of characters. For novices, Tekken's fight mechanics are just as easy to get into as they have been in the past. Most of the hundreds of moves in the game are a cinch to perform individually, which means you'll be able to pull off some flashy moves from the get-go. Stringing them together into increasingly damaging combos, however, will take some practice, which is where the game gets deliciously deep. For those already comfortable with their various 10-hit combos, Tekken 6 introduces a new way to deal extended damage. The bound system essentially allows you to extend combos by slamming an airborne opponent into the ground, leaving him or her momentarily vulnerable for further strikes. Now, if you don't have much Tekken experience, you probably won't be performing too many juggle or bound strings, but everyone will be able to make use of Tekken 6's other biggest gameplay addition, Rage. Rage kicks in when your character's health drops to about 10%, bathing him or her in a red aura and significantly increasing the damage he or she dishes out. It's pretty exciting when you're able to pull off a miraculous win thanks to your rage-fueled strikes, but the system is one that's unlikely to change the course of most matches because, by the time it kicks in, you're usually only one hit away from oblivion. Tekken 6 packs in plenty of gameplay, which starts with an arcade mode. As in Tekken 5, arcade allows you to gain ranks for each individual character you decide to try out. If you're an utter recluse or just don't have access to the internet, the game also tries to emulate the experience of playing against real people by having your AI opponents appear with their own individual gamer names, win-loss ratios, and ranks. There are also the stock standard fighter modes of survival and time attack, as well as 2 dedicated 2-player modes, Versus Battle and Team Battle, the latter of which allows you and a friend to choose up to 8 characters to fight in consecutive battles. Tekken 6 features a comprehensive practice mode that allows you to polish your moves. Practice won't take you through the very basics, such as movement, blocking, throw counters, that sort of thing, but newcomers will still get plenty from this mode, thanks to the helpful way the game demonstrates every move. While previous Tekken home releases featured several extra modes outside of the one-on-one fighting core, Tekken 6 only has one extra, the beat-em-up mode dubbed Scenario Campaign. Unlike previous Tekken bashes such as Tekken Force or Devil Within, this is no short-lived distraction. The Scenario Campaign is a surprisingly addictive multi-hour marathon, and it's also a must-play if you're at all interested in the story of Tekken 6. With Scenario Campaign following the adventures of 2 new characters, Lars and Alyssa. The Scenario Campaign is also the only place you'll see each character's full video ending, which is another highlight of previous Tekken games and definitely a winner for Tekken 6. Acting like a truncated arcade mode, Arena allows you to play through the storyline for all of the characters. It starts with captioned still images that outline their involvement in the latest King of Iron Fist tournament and culminates in their ending movie. But figuring out the convoluted plot of Tekken 6 isn't the only reason to play through the excellent scenario campaign. This mode could also be a full game on its own, taking 5 or 6 hours to complete and having plenty of replay value thanks to its compelling item drop system. In terms of gameplay, the scenario campaign isn't too taxing in the old synapses. You and your AI-controlled partner Alyssa will have to fight through waves of enemies, and while the controls are initially fiddly to come to terms with, you'll quickly get used to them. It's a lot of fun if a little repetitive, although it's a mystery why 2-player offline co-op play wasn't included. What makes it worth playing are the items that certain enemies drop when defeated. These items are pieces of clothing for every Tekken 6 character, and there are literally hundreds to collect. You can find clothing that will increase your health, increase defense, add elemental properties such as fire or ice, improve the value of items dropped, and much more. It's an almost role-playing game-like loot system, giving plenty of incentive to keep playing scenario to get better gear for each of the game's characters. But even if you don't play scenario, you can still buy any of the hundreds of different costume items for each character using money earned in almost every other mode of Tekken 6. There's a ton of customization available here. Ever want to know what Panda looks like wearing a pink bikini? Or would you prefer your Ganru with angel wings? You can mix and match to your heart's content. Thus, with some truly wacky costume options, it'll be easy to come up with a unique look for your favorite fighter. You can show off your uniquely costumed character in Tekken 6's online modes, although any bonuses that piece of clothing may have in the scenario campaign won't carry over into proper bouts. The game has both ranked matches for battle points and friendly bouts where you can set up lobbies with up to 3 other people. The matches we played since the servers went live this week globally have been mostly stable with very few dropouts, but lag seems to be an issue with most matches. With slower connections, you'll notice a definite gap between your controller input and what's happening on screen. And there even seems to be a very slight lag with even the fastest links. It's not unplayable, but anyone serious about their Tekken will recoil in horror at the input lag present. A much more interesting online option is the ability to download Ghost data from players all over the world. You can download up to 100 different real personalities, which you can then play in the offline game to help improve your skills against the top players in the world. And your own Ghost data becomes uploaded automatically. Tekken's home ports are known as some of the best looking games of their generation, but while Tekken 6 looks impressive, it's not the prettiest fighter out there. Some of the game's textures look rather bland. Skin, for example, looks pretty waxy. There's also some noticeable aliasing to be found in the game's various stages, of which the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions suffer. The game stages, in fact, can be a little too distracting. There's plenty going on in each level, such as helicopters crashing, jets flying by, and even livestock milling around. But some of these aren't rendered in impressive ways. Seeing a poorly animated sheep or pig bounce away as you accidentally hit it, for example, just serves to draw your attention away from the solid fighting. Thankfully, the sound is quite impressive, with solid and bone-crunching effects adding a great deal of believability to your every strike. But perhaps Tekken 6's most apparent technical downside has to do with its load times. They're not so long as to break the game, but there are noticeable lags when matches load and character models appear on selection screens. Installing is practically a prerequisite on the PS3 version to get it on par with the Xbox 360. While a bouncing pig may be a slight distraction and the shady offline is disappointing, it's not really enough to dull the outstanding qualities that Tekken 6 has to offer. For fans, Tekken 6 is the most complete Tekken experience so far, with its large roster, strong customization options, and tight mechanics sure to be a time sink as you strive to perfect your skills. If you're a newcomer, the game is as welcoming as ever, and there's plenty here to keep you occupied until you're ready to start busting out your own combos. If you're a fighting fan or are just curious to dip a tentative fist into the genre, then Tekken 6 is the game for you.